Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad to hear this Monday morning. Got a great week planned, and I know might have a little bit of rain coming in, but it's getting a little bit dry now. So we need some rain, but make sure you make some plans to do something in outdoors sometime during the week or definitely by the weekend. And also always take a friend outdoors with you. Now, weather today is brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. Run by and check out all the programs they have in there. This term right now is winding down, but they have summer sessions coming up. And if you're looking at next fall, all kind of stuff like welding and nursing and all kind of things you can look at to pursue, further your career. Now, the weather today is going to be a high of 87. It's going to be warm, low of 69. The water temperature has stayed around 75 or 76 now for 3 or 4 weeks. Been really steady. Let's take a look at our moon forecast, the Monday moon forecast. Well, I do this every Monday morning, and I was telling our guest here we have a sort of an odd situation. We had a full moon right there in the early part, but we had some cool weather, so we really didn't get the effect of that in fresh water or salt water. But what I call that May full moon. But you're going to see on the 31st, it's getting close. The actual full moon is going to be the first couple of days of June. So it's right now. Of course, today is May the 11th, and we're looking at we're getting some new moon coming up soon. Okay, our marine forecast will be coming out of southeast at about 10 today. All right, we'll take our first break and come back with our special guest. All right, welcome back, and welcome our special guest, Captain James Pick.
Good to see you, Winston.
Great to have James Pick on the show. I've known him a long time, I guess since we were back in the school days, a long time ago. And James is a full-time captain, and he's out there in the water all the time. I'm glad you took time to come be with us this morning.
I'm glad to be here. You remember throwing me off the driving range back in 11th grade, don't you?
Yeah, I forgot.
Driving the wrong way to Parallel Park.
I don't remember that. I did tell you. I taught driver's ed a couple of years there, and it was a hoot. And of course, we don't even have driver. We're getting it back, which I think is good.
Good times.
But that was a while back. So tell the folks a little bit about yourself. How you ended up doing all this fishing and all.
I grew up here, as you know. Moved here when I was 11 years old in 1971, and just always loved fishing. Caught my first big trout when I was 12 years old, and pretty bayou standing on the bank, and it was about 6 pounds, and I was hooked after that. And about 22 years ago, I decided to become captain and become guiding, and I was one of the first guides here, probably the first full-time bay guide, fly fishing guide here, right after Captain Blood passed away. Me and Mike, we worked together a little bit. We helped each other out a little bit, and miss him. Good guy.
Captain Mike Ware, good man. He was a good man.
Awesome dude.
He really was. And then you got into it, and like I say, you were the first ones around here doing that. So you've had over the years built a good clientele of customers. And
I'm blessed that way. I have a lot of people that call me every year. I had 2 calls last night from people that fish with me every year to go snapper fishing coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm blessed in that way.
Okay. So now you joined a club, you've got to help get a club started.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to show some pictures also. This, tell us about this contest y'all having.
A gentleman named Michael Hatcher invited me to become part of a Panama City Fishing Club. It's a spinoff of a Facebook page that we have, Panama City Fishing.
Right.
And he had this idea to have a private club where we had tournaments and things like that. And he asked me to be a member, and with a bunch of good guys, James Lehman and Sky Johnson, some other guys, we've put together this club. And primarily what it is for us to just have fun fishing. The prizes are not real big, but a lot of the money's going back to the community. We're giving $1,000 back on this first speckled trout club to Children's Anchorage Home.
Okay.
It's a month-long trout tournament. It starts on the 15th of May, and it's going to go till the 14th of June. You can weigh 3 fish during the entire month, and you can fish whenever. As of right now, we believe Brad Stevens at Sunjammers in St. Andrews and on the west end of the beach is going to be our weigh stations. You can weigh your 3 fish. We're going to have a first, second, and third prize for the 3 biggest fish over the month. You can only win one of those prizes. but you can win the overall most weight for your total 3 fish. So you could actually win 2 prizes. And then on the last day, we're going to have a mystery weight for whoever weighs a fish the last day. And we're going to do it under the pavilion in St. Andrews. And we'll possibly have a fish fry, depending on what happens.
Yeah.
It may be in conjunction with another offshore contest at the same time. But they asked me to do the inshore stuff because of my knowledge with inshore. So I'm handling all the inshore contests.
Okay, now how does someone out here, how do they enter this contest, and what would they do then?
We're going to have a captain's meeting Tuesday night at the pavilion on St. Andrews Marina at 6:30. It's a $25 fee to join to be in the contest if you're a member of the club. It's a private club, so it's $75 a year for a member to be in the club. So if you're not a member, you have to pay $100. $25 fee goes to the tournament. $75 goes to the club. Since we're a 501c3, it's a donation. You can write it off on your taxes.
We're going to allow Mike Purdue in this tournament.
If he can keep up with me,
Oh,
I mean, you know.
That's going to be
I'll fish with you. I'll fish against you.
That'll be 2 good ones right there. Mike, I know you watch the show every morning. He loves to trout fish, and
Well, he knows this is the time the big trout start swimming, so that's why we're having this contest.
You brought up a great point. This time of year is really special.
That full moon that you were talking about, normally it falls a little bit earlier in May, middle of May. That 15th, that's why I chose the dates. The 15th of May to the 15th of June is going to be when the big ones are swimming. And if you want to get a big one, that's when you're going to get one. We catch, I don't know, 6 or 8, 10 every year, 7 pounds plus. In that 30-day period around the full moon of May.
Yeah. And so all you got to do is just get online or call that number or whatever. Just a meeting's going to be tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and at St. Andrews.
And you can join Panama City Fishing on Facebook page, which we have almost 4,500 members.
Yeah.
And I'm the inshore staff guy on that. And if you join that club, then you'll get posts to the other clubs.
Yeah.
And so that joining that page is free. Plus, you can learn a lot on that Panama City Fishing page.
I'm on that too, and I enjoy it. Sometimes I get some pictures and show one here too, and it's just really neat. It's a win-win situation. A bunch of guys and girls who just enjoy fishing, and they're not all local people. Some are from out of town, and they ask questions. I love some of the questions we take for granted. You know, sometimes they want to do a fish. I need this fish, and I mean, it's a lot. Sometimes it's something simple that we know, but they don't. Yeah. Right. It surprises me still.
I saw one yesterday, a queen angel. Somebody caught a queen angel.
I saw that one, yeah.
And, you know, I hadn't caught one of those since I was in the Keys.
I know.
So I wouldn't even know. And I've also heard some hogfish being caught here. And some, you know, so yeah, you get to see a lot of stuff. Even I learned stuff on that Panama City Fishing page. And I've been fishing forever.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come right back with Captain James Pick. Welcome back. Sitting with Captain James Pick down in St. Andrews. Been there a long time, haven't you, buddy?
I have been.
That's sort of like a home for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I started out at Hathaway's Landing and set in, 97, 98, but I've been in St. Andrews ever since. Love it down there. You know, it's where I live at. And, it's a great place to live.
You can walk to the boat ramp, can't you, from your house?
Oh, they're pretty close.
Okay, James brought some pictures now. We're going to talk about some nice trout and all some nice fish of some of his customers. And let's take a look at this first picture here on the monitor. James, tell us about that one.
That one was caught last year during this time that I'm talking about where we're having this tournament. That gentleman, that fish was 28.5 inches long. He caught it in one particular place. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. And then we moved on, and his daughter caught another one that was 28.5 inches. So that was the first time I'd ever had 2 trout that big on the boat at the same time. And that was right there at the end of May last year.
Okay.
Caught them on live Elwise or Menhaden. I like to live bait fish, you know.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Tell us about these.
Opening weekend of snapper season, what can you say? 5 miles off the beach, you know, the endangered red snapper.
5 miles out.
Yesterday we had fish, and the day before we had fish bigger than that swimming around the boat.
Wow.
At 2 miles out.
That's amazing. All right, now let's go. This is a cute little picture here.
That little girl, she's a sport. She We had about 7 or 8 mahi-mahi that day. It was early summer last year when all the weed lines showed up, and we had a great time. And that little girl, she was a sport. She picked up those fish and play with them. She's more of a man than some of the men I put on the boat.
She was tickled with that one.
Oh yeah, she loved it.
All right.
That last year, that was just something I threw in there. That's my personal biggest cobia.
Wow.
I don't have real good luck with them with going up and down the beach like everybody else does finding them. So I have to wait for them to swim up to the boat and cheat.
Well, you save a lot of gas too doing that.
Yeah, that one swam up to the boat last year. I caught him on 20-pound braid with a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. We had an old crappy scale, and we figured it weighed about 63 pounds. And that's my personal biggest, and it was a good fish.
You would have just won a Ling Ding tournament at Mexico Beach that weight. All right, now. Let's go
more open and snapper. That's Julie Brown and her son-in-law.
Okay.
And they'll be here in a couple of weeks to fish again. That was actually an afternoon trip, opening second day. We went out 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it didn't take us but 45 minutes to catch our fish.
That's great. All right.
That's just a little kid that he caught that. I was proud. I like that picture. He caught that fish up in East Bay, and he caught it by himself. I didn't really have to help him, and it was about a 5-pound fish.
Wow.
And he was, I guess the fish is almost as big as he is. He's only 6 years old.
And brought it in by himself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
And then this is part 2 of the first trout picture. That's both the big fish we caught that day. I figured both those fish were over 8 pounds. They might have been closer to 9, 28 and a half inches long. She caught one, he caught one, caught them in 2 different places. One was actually by a pier in a bayou, one was outside of a bayou, and on opposite sides of West Bay. It was just one of those lucky days where you got into a couple of big fish.
Yeah, that's one of those days you have memorable, you remember all the time. Okay, let's see. Let me show this. We're out of sequence right here, but Amanda Whitehead from Tulogia sent this picture, okay, and she wants help with identification. Thinks a bobcat with a raccoon tail. So y'all help us on this and tell us what you think it is, okay? Now, this is your business. Tell us about this.
Well, I run out of St. Andrews. I'm located at the end of Beck Avenue, where 11th Street dead ends into the marina. I've been guiding for over 20 years. My specialty is inshore. I grew up speckled trout fishing. Love to trout fish. Love to fish with live bait if I can find it. And but there's a lot more to do out there than just trout. There's, on the nice days you can go out and catch kings. And on the crappy days, you stay in the bay and catch whatever else is in there: bluefish, trout, ladyfish. A lot of people turn their nose up at ladyfish, but you get into a big school of 5-pound ladyfish, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
especially with a fly rod.
Yeah.
So trout are always out there. Redfish, redfish, I think, are a little bit harder to find nowadays than they were 15, 20 years ago because I think so many people chase them.
Yeah.
And they get skittish. Yeah, they are. It's not easy. You don't see big schools of 20 and 30 and 40 swimming along the beach like you used to. And I remember one trip I had, it was the stupidest school of redfish I've ever seen in my life. No matter what you threw at them, they ate it.
They were hungry.
And the people on the boat were not real skilled, and they were continually breaking them off. And the school of redfish wouldn't leave, and they'd swim under the boat. And as they'd swim under the boat, I could see my lures hanging out of their mouth where they broke them off. You know? So, we don't see that as often as we used to.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go back to this picture. I just talked again about this picture of Amanda Whitehead sent. I said a bobcat. I meant a fox. They think it's a fox with a raccoon tail. Okay. So we always get good feedback from the viewing audience. And if you get a chance, and if you got, that's the great thing about these game cameras now. You can run them all year round, and it's amazing. And Amanda and her family live down there in some really wooded, forested area, and not a lot of buildings and houses around there. So they're all kind of really neat animals and all. So we'll help identify it. Now, identification of fish. What are some of the odd fish that you've caught? Rare fish, maybe up in this area.
Some African pompano.
Did you send the picture? Was that you last year to send that picture of big African pompano? I believe
it wasn't me. We've only ever caught small ones.
Yeah. Somebody had caught a big one right there outside the pass.
I've seen snook. Back when I bought my house over in St. Andrews, I used to swim the piers and snorkel the piers over there. I've seen snook in the water, but I've never caught one. Never, not too many. There was one fish that I caught last year. I didn't know what it was. It was some kind of a porgy. It was a purple color, and it was fairly good size. And the guys at back at the dock, Chuck, the gentleman that just passed away that ran the loaded pole, he told me it was a real good eating fish, and it was some kind of porgy. And but you know, I catch stuff all the time out there. I don't know what it is. Haven't caught a lionfish yet. I'm waiting for one of those. I would love to catch a lionfish.
Well, speaking of lionfish, we're going to have that on this week too. They're having that big tournament out at Captain Anderson's again. In fact, statewide, they're doing a lionfish tournament statewide this coming Saturday. So, and I saw a video. They're amazing at how rampant they were multiplying. Amazing.
Group reading them though, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we're going to take a final break. We'll come back with Captain James Pick, and he's going to give us some fishing tips for the average fisherman. Welcome back. Hope you're getting started off this week really good on this Monday morning, and hope you have a great week planned and they do a good job at work and always do some good things for other folks. But right now, let's look at our fishing game time for the day, brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. Mark's number is 832-6000. Our two times this morning, 6:56 to 8:56. So we're just going to round that at 7 to 9 this morning, and this evening from 7:23 to 9:23. Those are our two times there. James, I know you're on the water. You make a living on the water and all that, and I always ask my guests when they come on the various experiences and all. You're very well experienced. There are times they really turn it on, right? You were talking about sometimes in the middle of the day, or
that looked like a good time there.
But you've had success sometimes. Like I say,
you know, if you got the right bait, you're in the right spot, and you can catch fish all day long.
Yeah.
I remember about 10 or 12 years ago. We read an article in the newspaper. They said that the trout disappear by 8 o'clock in the morning in the summertime, and we were all laughing about it because at 11 o'clock we're catching 20-inch trout at a spot. Well, we had the right bait. We're in the right spot.
Yeah.
So, you know, you look for the things. There's certain things that I look for in my trout spots, and I know that I can hit them throughout the day on certain tides and certain baits, and I know I can catch them.
Well, I know the biggest trout my son Chip ever caught was right there about 12:30 in the middle of the afternoon, and it was on top water plug. We're not supposed to do that, but it can be done.
Right, that's right. Yeah. You know, they a lot of people don't realize it, but the trout will get up on the flats, and some of the trout will stay in a foot of water all day long, just lay up in the grass.
Yeah.
But a lot of them like to dump off in the holes as the sun comes up. So, you know, you find you an ambush spot.
That's right.
And sit there and wait for them. Don't be impatient.
Well, okay, we're going to get a couple of tips now for the average weekend fisherman, like so many of my viewers are. We work all week and then try to get out on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon or something. And you just mentioned patience. That's always a great virtue.
If you as a guide, you know, if I've got a 4-hour trip and I'm sitting on a spot for 20 minutes or 25 minutes or 20 minutes, a lot of times I'll leave. If I'm not catching a fish. But if I get on a spot and I know the tide's right and we have the right bait, I'll wait them out. And there's been a lot of days that I've said at 10 till 7, well, if we don't get a fish in the boat by 7:15, we're out of here. After being there for 30 minutes, all of a sudden, bam, 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 we got 6 trout in the box. And you just got to be patient. Believe if you have a spot that you catch fish consistently, always be patient, wait them out. Some days they'll never show up.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, if you're catching fish there consistently, at some point they will be there.
Okay, let's go to bait. What's some of your favorite baits?
I like Menhaden. I like the 1 cast, 200 baits in my live well. I like to chum. I'll even chum for trout. Okay. I'll throw some out around in the trout holes that I'm fishing. I like them for trout about that big.
Okay, and where do you hook your bait?
If the birds are around, I hook them through the eyes or through the mouth. If the birds are not around, I hook them through the back and let them swim on top, make a lot of noise.
Okay.
I've switched over in the last couple of years to 20-pound braid on all my spinning reels.
Okay.
And I tie usually a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader to that with an Albright knot, and then I just tie a hook on it and I float my baits out like that.
Oh, very good. And what size hook do you use most of the time?
Depends on the bait.
On the bait, yeah.
I carry 1s, 2s, 1/0, 2/0, 4/0. You know, if I get big baits, I'm using big hooks. There's days when we can only get baits as big as your thumb, and you're not going to use a 4/0 hook with a bait as big as your thumb, so you use a 2. I even have some 4s that I carry, just in case.
That's great.
We were using 4s yesterday. Offshore.
Now, I know, okay, you specialize in trout and all inshore, and you do pretty good with a flounder, don't you? Yeah.
Last fall we had a couple of days where we caught over 20 a day, and we had 43 in a 2-day period with 3 guys. Last October. You know, they're harder to catch in the bay last few years, but once they move offshore into the little spots that are 50 foot deep, it's easy. I'll drop my anchor and I'll pull the anchor in, I'll let it out, and I'll pull it in and let it out, and just let them fish back and forth over the spots, and usually do pretty well that way.
Now you go with bull minnows then, or?
Well, yeah, bull minnows or menhaden, whatever we can find. You know, they'll eat squid. When they're sitting on the bottom offshore, they'll eat anything.
Okay. Okay. Now, also, you throw together some trips too. We got just a minute, real quick. You throw together some trips. Sometimes you let people just go with you. I saw
PCF on Panama City Fishing. I open up my boat. I'll do like 6 and 8 hour trips. $50 a seat, just for people that have kayaks or don't get to go fishing very often. During the early part of the year, like I just had one last week, and then in the fall. I can't do it during the summer. It's just something to do. You know, I got to have fish in my freezer too.
Well, I know, and that's a great opportunity for people to go. And the $50 is about as cheap as you can get. I do my share sometimes. I'm paying $70, $80 just for gas.
I supply all the equipment. I supply all the bait and everything.
Oh, that's great. James, run out of time, buddy.
Good to see you, Winston.
Good to see you again. Captain James Pick, JP2. Don't forget the meetings tomorrow night. Tuesday night?
Tuesday night,
okay.
Under the pavilion at St. Andrews.
All right. Thank y'all for watching our show. You have a great day. Do something good for your fellow man, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.